Maybe he's coming to have a chat. How are you doing? I was about to go, then I saw you. I thought you might be having a question for me.
I do actually, funnily enough.
Well, go on then.
Sorry, were you busy?
No, we've chatting. We've been chatting all day, we have.
I just wanted to ask you, in the Gospels, Jesus says when, I forget the exact words, but basically he says when somebody asks you to give them something, he says give freely and don't expect to get it back in return.
Yeah.
And then another place he says give and basically to give freely.
Yeah.
So my question was,
See you next time. It's all the best.
take care. So if you ask a Christian for something, shouldn't they just give you whatever you ask for?
All right. Yeah, it's all about context.
Okay.
So if you're starving and you've got 2 sandwiches, so if someone's starving and you've got 2 sandwiches, and they ask to give them a sandwich, or if you've got 1 sandwich, cut it in half and give them half.
Right.
They're starving. Now that's an extreme case. There'll be cases where you give, but imagine if you've got a rich guy who's got a banquet in front of him, and you've just got half a sandwich, and you're a Christian, but you're starving, and somebody just gave you this half a sandwich, and he says to you, give me that sandwich. You might say Jesus is saying give freely, so give him your sandwich and starve to death. Right. But I would say it's context. So what we do is, as Catholics, very important, this is a principle. In the Bible, if you don't have the church as your guide, nobody could actually challenge that point.
No, I'm aware of that.
Give freely, therefore give, whatever your situation, whatever the recipient situation is. But the Catholic Church says, no, there's got to be a context to this. Jesus doesn't mean just give if anybody asks you. And the context is that you basically are generous, and you don't hoard, and you don't keep what you don't need when somebody has much more than you, and when somebody has and somebody else is extremely destitute.
Well, it's interesting you say that. You use the example of a poor man, of a rich man asking a poor man to give him like everything that he had to eat. I mean, Jesus obviously spoke to a rich man and told him, give, if you want to come into the kingdom of heaven, give away everything that you have, give to the poor and come follow me. So he was essentially asking that man to give everything. I mean, granted, you might say that the interpretation of the church is that it doesn't literally mean give away everything, or that. I mean, that literally seems to be what Jesus is saying.
All right, Jesus did mean it for that man. If you want to really be literal, though, you've got to be really literal. Okay. Jesus is speaking to a rich young man. To that rich young man, he says, sell everything. When he called the apostles, he didn't say that to them, did he?
Well, he said to them, he who leaves, father and mother and so forth, will receive those things 100-fold in this life and eternal life is what's to come.
So what I'm getting at is, people who followed him, you don't see that statement made. Give up everything. Give up your fishing boats. Give up.
Well, it does say that they left.
They did. I know
jobs,
they did, but he didn't say to them, give away your fishing boats. They left their boats, but to be in the care of other people, to do the fishing. So what I'm trying to say is, for that rich man, he was to give up everything because Jesus saw that was his big thing. He followed all the commandments, but he remained rich. And Jesus says that there's a general application here beyond that man. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. So rich people, and we know this from our experience as adults, we look around, it is hard for a rich man to enter heaven. They get attached to their wealth. And so it's plain to see, wealth is a problem in most cases, but not in every case. So Jesus didn't say to Lazarus, give everything you've got. Well, Lazarus was a sophisticated rich man.
Not Lazarus, you mean the...
Lazarus, the man who died and Jesus raised from the dead.
Oh, right, but I thought Lazarus... but was Lazarus rich?
Not the poor man in the
Lazarus,
parable.
Okay.
I mean, he's the brother of Martha and Mary.
The rich man,
That's the parable Lazarus. I'm talking about the prosperous Lazarus. Or Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was a rich tax collector, and he said, I'll give 4 times as much as I've taken from any man I've treated unjustly.
Right.
But he never said he's given everything away. So it's a context that matters.
Okay, so in other words, I can't just go up to Christians and sort of pressure them into giving me money.
No, and also many Christians
Are you sure?
many Christians have children, young children, so they need money to feed those kids.
Right.
So even if they were willing to starve themselves, they have a duty not to starve their children. So taking the principle
Okay, well,
too far,
they could have other dependents. I mean,
well, they have to have, but if they don't, their kids will starve.
yeah.
So Jesus clearly didn't mean that you have to give everything in every case. Sorry, my friends, my wallet's staying where it is.
I thought I could.
Good one, good one. Why not? Christmas is coming. We all need a few bob.
Exactly.